Yay! Good evening, good
Okay, we are
afternoon, good
live.
morning, wherever you are. Awesome. We are all here except Bill because Bill likes to run late for some reason. But anyway, welcome everyone to another live stream. And today we have some very, very special people. And we managed to catch Simon for tonight's live stream. So before we do anything, let's introduce ourselves. And Simon, you can go ahead because you're the most popular and most handsome on this stream tonight.
Oh, I'm flattered. Anyways, my name is Simon. I'm an ordinary Chinese dude. So, hello, everybody.
Awesome. And we also have China Uncle Mikey. Mikey, do you mind introducing yourself?
Hello guys, this is China Uncle Mikey, and I'm Chinese. I'm from Shanghai, so it's glad to join this show with Simon. And I and Simon, we met each other for quite a few months since this year. So it's awesome to chat with Simon and Zach. It's awesome.
Awesome. Good stuff. So for the ones that don't know me, I'm Zach, and I usually host these live streams and, try to get on interesting people onto the stream and, talk about interesting things. But I don't want to advertise myself. I actually want to advertise Simon a little bit because he was the one who gave us a guideline for today's topic. And a big congratulations to Simon. He just surpassed 70,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. So well done, Simon.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that.
And another thing is until Bill turns up, we don't know where he is. Maybe he's out, chasing girls, getting drunk, riding his scooter. We don't know. We're going to have a filler. And that sounds really bad, but we're gonna have a fourth person on until Bill comes in, and he is a very controversial person within the China YouTuber community, but most of you know him, and it is Prime in China.
Oh, you said you weren't gonna do it.
I
Jumping
know.
from one stream to another.
Yeah, so Prime in China. Corey, do you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
Prime in China. I'm pretty much trying to be everywhere right now. Yeah, just living in America, doing streams and doing some controversial stuff. Also gonna say, like I told the last stream, I'm gonna keep it PG-13. So don't worry, guys in China. You'll be okay.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, then. So today we are going to talk about, well, obviously China, but a very popular question and it's a popular question with a very obvious answer for some people. But we want to talk about this because we are still not sure what's the answer. So is China a communist country? That's going to be our topic tonight. And, before we actually tackle this question, I need to ask you guys, when you hear the word communism, do you think it's a good word, or do you think it's a bad word, or it's a neutral word, or, what do you think of the word communism? Who would like to go first on this awesome question?
I think
Corey?
Simon, you go first.
Or Simon?
Yeah, I think Corey want to go first. Yeah, Corey, you go ahead.
So I think everyone knows how the Americans feel about communism. We feel like it's pretty negative. Our country has a long history speaking out against and fighting against communism. So for us, at least in our political stage, communism is a bad thing. And with China's rise to power, of course, there are some different opinions now, right? So yeah.
Awesome. Fair enough. Simon, so what do you think when you hear the word communism? Do you think it's a positive thing? It's a negative thing? How does it affect you? What's your feeling about the word communism?
Well, first of all, I want to point out there's definitely a huge different kind of understanding of the word communism between the West and the East. To me, communism is just to me, probably the word itself is pretty positive. I mean, if you just take the word communism, even in English, com means like equal, right? So it doesn't sound that bad at all. But I think because of different education system and different kind of information world we have, so people have different concept about how communism is, you know. So, but for me, definitely, I would say I heard the word communism probably in my kindergarten. Whenever I have memory, I know communism is there because we are, after all, governed by a communist uh, party, right? So that's basically what you hear from, I would say, from yeah, from the first day at school. You probably already heard about communism, and to every single kids in China, communism definitely not a negative thing, at least, right? So yeah.
Awesome. Mikey, what do you think? Is communism a positive, a negative word, a neutral word? How do you feel about communism?
If you ask this question to the people from the mainland China, 90% of them will see communism is a positive word because this is what we told in the school. As Simon said, in the first day when we in the primary school, we are told like communism is the final achievement or target that our society should go to. This is the direction that what our efforts should spend to. So communism for the normal Chinese, if they don't like a multi source of information that they are able to access, probably they will think it is a very positive word. And but if you go to Europe, go to the USA, go to Australia, then if you say, yeah, we have a communist government or whatever, or there's a like one party, which is the Chinese Communist Party, rule the country, then their perception is going to be really negative because it kind of like connect to Soviet Union, you know, all these like Soviet Union
Like
gulags and
Cuba, yeah,
and all these
or
negative
North
things.
Korea.
Yeah. So this is the question that I can answer in a very short term. So different people has different opinion, and for me, I I I was looking into the definition of communism. The definition and the manifesto, it says something like people has their own freedom, like willing to they can choose their occupation. They have all kinds of freedom. So on the paper, it's a quite positive thing, but who is going to pass it? Who is going to explain it? That's very really depending on who is doing this kind of job. So that's it.
Absolutely. So, my opinion about communism, it's, for me, it's a neutral word after living in China for some time, because, I can see the positives of it, because there are definitely positives. It's not just, oh, communism is bad, CCP bad, screw China. Like, it's not like that. It's not as simple as that. Obviously, there are downsides. And when we were kids and when we learned about different political systems, communism was always at the bottom as the worst. And they always use the example, the Soviet Union, like how it collapsed and how that was a failure, a complete failure. And that's why no country and no nation should ever try to use communism ever again, because it's a failed system. But you can see, in China, it's somewhat working, and it has, positive effects on the country. But then, I don't want to jump too far ahead and actually say that, is China, if China is actually a communist country or not. So we're going to tackle this one, later
So
on.
Zach, just let me interrupt you a bit. So actually, I have a question for you and Corey. So I think a lot of Chinese will be also curious because communism in at least in mainland China, it sounds a neutral word. It definitely won't sound very negative, right? But I know in the West, people perceive communism as evil or dictator. But so my question is that why do the West perceive communism very badly? So there are two sides. Is that because all the country they are doing communism fail terribly, or does that mean communism won't work based on the understanding of the Western ideology?
In my opinion, it goes back to the Cold War era, because back then, whatever the Russians did, whatever the commies did was bad. It doesn't matter what it was. During the space race as well, it was always the West against the commies. It was always that. So I think it's trying, like, what they were trying to do is deceive the people and mislead them, communism is really bad, when in fact you can see Russia kind of won the first part of the space race, and because they had communism, because they were very determined, and they sacrificed a lot of things for it, but in the end they had the results. But I think Corey can elaborate a little bit more than I can.
I don't think people see the system of communism necessarily as a negative, but here's something to think about. Communism is not a Chinese thing. Like, you guys took that shit from us, okay? And so we had it first, and we had that system before. We seen that for whatever reason it didn't work, right? And so I think that we kind of have a history of looking at it and thinking, it just doesn't work. Perhaps a lot of the countries that have become of it have not been the friendliest of countries, and so I think that I think it's become a negative word, sort of. It's kind of a punchline, all this country, they're communist, but I don't think that it's completely. I don't think that it's just a blind insult of being like, oh, you're fat, or oh, you're communist. I think that there is some real history there behind it. And I also want to say, without getting too far ahead, I don't think China is a pure communist country anyways, right? I think that's a very narrow-minded view of things. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, yeah.
So in the meantime, sorry, Mikey, to interrupt. In the meantime, we have Bill finally on the streets. Maybe I don't know what Bill is doing. He's singing? He's dancing? Are you drunk, Bill?
Is the network stable today, Bill?
Got some errands. I got some errands, and finally I'm
here. Okay. Fair enough. But you're gonna stay with us, right? You're not gonna disappear.
But are you able to hear what we are talking about today, or you just?
Yes, I'm gonna stay.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. So,
absolutely, I can hear you guys very clearly.
I think he has a little bit of a delay, but it's okay.
Yeah. So just come up with what Corey said. When the foreigner come to China, you always see those pro-China YouTubers talking about, let's look. This is China, and it doesn't look like a communist country, and so. Okay. But this is not true. Actually, China is a socialist country, and the communist country is the final goal that we are going to look up. So, in the current stage, we call ourselves, it's the preliminary stage of a socialist country. So that's give you the right to have some kind of poverty in the country, and to have this and that issues. And we are not even in advanced level of socialist country. So maybe in the media they say the Nordic countries, the Scandinavia countries are the advanced level of socialist country, and then you move your country forward to be a communist country, which is a ideally country, and probably it's going to be happen in the future after 500 years ago later. But anyway, so yeah, so this is some. But I mean, when the foreigner comes to
Oh, did we lose Mikey?
I think Mikey is
See,
a little bit laggy right
that's
now.
the thing about Shanghai. Apparently, they have 100% 5G coverage, but it's not very stable, is it?
am I back or?
No comment.
Yes, you're here, Mikey.
Yeah, I think I'm back now.
Yeah, so for those foreigners come to China and look at the Nanjing Road, the beautiful,
Yes,
the
Mike, you're
bond,
back.
and those kind of things. Say China isn't a communist country. No, you have to look at the news, look at the Chinese media, what they are saying, and then you deliver your message to judge if it's a communist country or it's a socialist country. Not just look at the beautiful skyline and say this isn't China, because the USA built up our Pudong area and the beautiful skyline, but it doesn't mean we are not a communist country. So this is my opinion.
There you go, and we have a super sticker. I think that's for you, Simon.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Kim Sai. Thank you for the donation. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
All right then, guys. I think it's time to move on a little bit because we don't want to drag out this question too much. So when was actually the first time you heard the word communism? Like when was the first time? Like Mikey said when he was very young in school. But when was the first time you actually heard communism in an actual conversation? When you actually talked about political systems? When was the first time you actually heard this word?
Bill, go first.
Bill can go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has a delay.
So in terms of communism, like the first time I heard about communism is when I was in kindergarten. I remember like when we were in kindergarten, I think Simon and Mike can definitely relate to what I'm saying. Like we have to sing this song. Like we are the successor of socialism or communism, and we were singing this song when we were trying to take a walk or anything in our kindergarten. So I was like, are we the successors of communism? I don't know. But later, as I grew up, I definitely don't think I'm the successor of communism. But like in terms of being a communist or a socialist in China, you have to be good. Actually, you have to be one of the elite in China to be selected to be go into the system. That's what I heard. Like very young age, you have to wear this red scarf in your neck. That's my statement.
Correct.
Awesome. Let's have Corey. Corey, when was the first time you actually heard this word communism in an actual conversation, not just a random thing on the street?
I think that from a very young age in America, we hear about it from, war movies and the History Channel and those types of things. I mean, personally in America, there's not many 5-year-olds that are talking about communism. It's kind of something that we see on television that we pick up from, that type of thing. I think besides that, like people don't really care about communism outside of the previous history of wars and things. So,
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Simon?
Sure. Yeah, just like Bill has said, and also Mike and then me also mentioned about that. For ordinary Chinese kids, they probably heard about communism when the first day they step into kindergarten. So,
Simon, your microphone is bumping. Broken.
already? Is it mine?
Yeah. It's
How about right
like
now?
you're doing the robots kind of thing.
Already.
Now it's okay.
Now
Okay,
you're good.
so maybe it's a little bit laggy. Okay, anyway, let me start it over. So Bill just mentioned like every ordinary Chinese kid they probably heard about communism when the first day they stepped into their school. So he just mentioned actually we have, I mean, in kindergarten, elementary school, we have all those social activities like singing those patriotic songs. So basically, they will say we are the successor of Communist Party or socialism. So there are a ton of songs out there. So almost every single kid in China have sing it before. So and also, I think for me, I think actually every single kid in China, every single week, if you are, if you have went through those like traditional Chinese education system, not in a private school or a foreign language school, then you will know every single week we have those kind of social events or uh, you can say political classes, and people will talk about communism and stuff like that. So basically, I think, or we know communism, and also we know communism. It's a good thing when we were very young. So yeah, yeah, Mike,
Yeah.
you want to have any comment on that?
Yes. I mean, Simon and Bill, you are younger than me. I was born in the 80s. And during that time, when I was in the school, they talked about communism and socialism a lot in the school. And the thing that they mentioned mostly, I can remember, which is to eliminate the social class. So everyone is going to be equal because they are going to eliminate the what's that called in English? It's a bourgeoisie or polar.
Capitalist?
Yeah.
Or,
So and the middle class are all
Bourgeois.
eliminated. Sorry, what did you say? Can you hear, guys? Can you
Yep,
hear
we
me?
can
Or
hear you,
yeah,
Mikey.
yeah, I can
Carry
hear you,
on.
Mikey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So so there's no social class. Everyone is equal. So there's no one exploit another one. So the society is staying a very equal state. No one. So you are working for your own interest. You are not working for someone else, which is your boss. So because the boss is eliminated or killed, you know. So this is that I learned from the class because they do this like a political economy class in the first day when you enter the school.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And actually, I have a question about that. Do you think that is actually like brainwashing, or like basically they just trying to keep you in the dark? Do you think it's part of a bigger plan, or what do you think? Do you think it's brainwashing to keep you in the dark with that and just keep telling you that communism is good? Do you think it's brainwashing in general? I don't know who
Uh,
wants
So
to go
maybe
first on this one.
because if you trace back to the old time or the 70s, the 60s, Chinese people don't have the opportunity to do a comparison like what the capitalist country look like. They can watch TV, but they only show the negative part, like the rioting and the protesting in the other countries. So it's very hard to judge. And then I think it is kind of brainwashing because you can only think we are living in paradise. Try to imagine North Korea at the moment. I mean, they are more isolated than we did, maybe. So
correct.
I don't think the North Korean can realize they are living in a relatively slavery country. So that's it.
Simon, what do you think? Is it brainwashing what they're doing from like kindergarten, for example, like telling you communism is the best system and every other country is a failure? Do you think that's what's going on, and is it actually brainwashing?
Well, that question, I'm not going to directly give you the answer, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just gonna telling you that in those classes, there is not going to be a second opinion. Okay, so every single class, the teacher said something, and the student have to absolutely take it. And sometimes, so basically, you can't actually question the validity of those facts or those how to say the story they present to you. Okay, so just give you guys a quick example. When I still clearly remember it vividly today, that when I was in the primary school, probably in the second year or the third year, one of our teachers, she said that we should all be grateful for being a Chinese, because if you were born in the United States, you will be living in a very horrible living standard, because in China we don't have any homeless people on the street. That was like probably almost 20 years ago. Okay, so yeah, so at that time I was like, oh wow, oh thanks God I was a Chinese, thanks God I didn't born in the United States, because otherwise I will be starved to death. So, but ironically, I don't think my primary school teacher has ever been to the United States, and I don't know where she got that information. So, yeah, so I would say maybe 20 years ago, the internet isn't that developed. So maybe she got the message from her superior, and she were told to taught the school like this. But that's just one example I still remember today. And yeah, but there are a ton of like lectures, lessons, and exams. So yeah, almost every single day, those kind of things are embedded in your school's activities. And when you are released from the school, probably you will do homework, and also on TV. Everything, it's everywhere. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just want to point out, but on the other side, you will never hear a different opinion. So virtually, I think before you graduate from college, I don't think ordinary kids will be able to access. Maybe today, the internet, because we have the internet today, but back then, I don't think you will ever get a chance to actually access people who have different mindsets. Basically, everybody is the same at that time.
Simon, your microphone.
You're doing the robots again, Simon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How am I gonna try to fix it?
Now you're good.
Yeah, so
Didn't do
just a quick answer to Infant Terror video, and he said the same thing. The same thing which is going on in the West. Yes, it's true, because if you are talking about like a lot of controversy, things like JFK assassination, landing the moon, Area 51, these kind of things in the US. Yes, maybe they are lie, maybe CIA lies to the people, but it's different stage of brainwashing. You cannot use like the lies which is going on in the Western country to prove that China is doing better. This is what I'm against. So that's it.
Yeah. All right then, guys. I think we're just gonna go around in circles with this, because we somewhat all agree on this one as a bunch. So I think it's time to move on to a different kind of question. But before we do that, I just want to address a few things from the audience. Because while you guys were talking, I was obviously listening and reading the comments as well. And at least 5 people asked me to get Lee Barrett onto the show. Now, I need to tell you guys, every single one of you that you are watching and asking for Lee Barrett to come onto the show, I sent him a message, but he is very, very busy. He sent me a message back and he said he would like to come on, but he is very busy, so he can't make it tonight. So that's that. I don't want to waste any more time on that. So yeah.
We all love to have Lee Barrett to have a debate on this show. I mean,
yeah, and the thing is, we are not against each other. Nobody's against anyone here. within this community. Anyway, let's move on because that's not the topic today. So what would be the definition for communism for you guys? How would you define communism? And not textbook definition, like a personal, experience-based definition for communism. How would you describe it? I mean, it's a very tricky thing to do, but I think Bill, Simon, and Mikey, you guys can go first, because obviously you lived in China for, well, almost all your life, so you can probably give a better definition on this one.
Yeah.
Bill, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Let me go first. I think the accurate definition of communism is that, like, everybody can be treated equally in every aspect, no matter it's about social welfare program or anything, education and insurance and that stuff. Like, people just can get treated so equally that no one is struggling. But, like, obviously this is a very utopian state that every country is striving to achieve. But I don't think there's a lot of countries that are achieving this objective, including the so-called communist country like North Korea and China. Though China has made enormous economic progression improvements, like in terms of communism, I don't think like the essential points, equalism is achieved in China, and it's not even achieved in the most economically developed country in the world. So I think it's really hard, and everybody should strive towards it, and should not be so arrogant about it. Say like we are a communist country, so we are better. No, like we are not, haven't achieved that level yet. So that's my perspective. So what do you guys think?
Sure. Simon, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I completely agree with Bill. So communism, if you just look at the word communism itself, it means like equal, right? So basically, when we were a kid, we were told that we will finally achieve into a world that nobody actually need money at all. So basically, you want something, you will get it, and basically, communism means like they're trying to get rid of ownership, but because everything should be owned like as a community, right? So, but in reality, I just don't know whether we can actually achieve that in the future. But anyways, that's my brief definition of communism. So yeah.
Awesome. So I would like to move on to Corey, Prime in China, because he's been very quiet for the last, few minutes. So Corey, what's your take on communism? How would you define it? Not the textbook definition, obviously, just,
Right. And I think every once in a while you'll see my golf clap, and that means that I agree with whatever you're saying. And what I mean by that is here we say, well, what is the textbook definition and what is communism really? And I think that that's a very interesting thing, because communism, what it means and then what we actually get is very different. Like what the definition is and what actually happens is very different. And I think communism is alive. It is real, right? And I don't think it's a complete communist system, but I think it speaks for itself here of what communism means, because we're on a panel here and we have 3 Chinese guys, and all of them are afraid to say certain things because they realize that there is a risk of saying that. And, in America, I can say F Joe Biden, F Trump. I can say whatever I want to say. And China definitely has some communist things left over, like hukou systems and things like that. Those are communist things. Those are not in every country. So when you define what communism means, there are definitely some things of questions of, is communism, what is communism, and is it actually achievable? Is it something that can actually be implemented? Because I don't think communism is as a goal is a very good goal, because I think it's unachievable. I don't think it's possible. And I think that if people reached that point anyways, I think they would find that it's not nearly as fun as they thought it was.
That's true, and I somewhat agree with it, but I also need to disagree because the core like values of communism is what Bill basically said, like affordable education, affordable healthcare, and all of these things, and that everybody is basically equal. That should be like the core value of it, and obviously that can only be achieved with perfect people. If there's a mistake within the system, so if there are people that are corrupt, that can be bought with money or with favors and all that sort of stuff, then communism as a system is a failure. So, but then you can apply this kind of thought process to every single political system, every single system in every single country. Every single system needs perfect people to function perfectly. And that's something that many people don't understand. They just think that communism is bad and that's the end of the story. When in fact, every single system has its flaws, has its downsides as well, and that's something that everybody should try to understand. And the biggest thing is, because China is really the only like real communist-ish kind of system in the world, everybody is trying to gang up on that one and say like, it's a failure, like look at the past, look at the Soviet Union, how it collapsed, and all of these things. But like I said earlier, in reality there are positives to it. There are positive things with communism and with China in general.
So let me just quickly jump in and just make another statement. I don't think currently we are a communist country. I would say like I think the West have some misunderstanding. They always think we are a communist country, but I feel like we are a even more capitalist country actually, because if you think communism, it means like equal, but there's no equality in China at all. If you consider the hukou system, if you consider the different welfare system people will have between the one who work for the government and the one for the private company, and so basically there are all kind of inequality exist in China. Like if you got sick, if you need treatment at the hospital, so normal dude or normal guy, they will have to wait in the line. But if you have reached to a certain level in the government, you don't need to wait in the line. And sometimes some of the big hospitals, they have those called like officials house or officials reservation area. So basically they are only designed for treatment to those people on the top, not for ordinary guys and dudes. So I really don't think we should call it communism, because actually if you have been following the Chinese news recently, you will know actually our government in the recent years they use the word communism less and less frequently, but now they start using the word called Chinese socialism. Actually it's the new era socialism with the Chinese characteristics, right? That's the word they start using more frequently, because I think that people on the top, they actually know that the real communism is still not achievable, and so they basically change to another system or another slogan. So yeah.
Can I add a slight little point here?
Sure.
I want to say that sure. I think China has realized a long time ago that communism alone is not going to work, and I think the rest of the world has realized that also. But I also think that China wants to do this thing where they want to say, "Oh, we're not communist," because they realize that 99.9% of the world realizes that it's a negative term, and no one wants to call themselves the negative term. Like, I'm not going to walk around in public and be like, "Hey guys, I'm a complete fat ass." It may be true, but like, I'm not going to do that. And here's the other thing. Let's just do a raise of hands here. Who thinks that companies in China are the most powerful? Are companies more powerful than the government? What about people? Who here thinks that people are more powerful than the government? If you think people are more powerful than the government, raise your hand, because it's not.
I think Corey hit the point. I mean, so to talk about the definition of China, if it's a communist country or a socialist country, I think we experienced a certain period, like before the 80s. You know, the ownership of the companies, or we call it the social materials, everything is the public ownership, which means the people and the public owns a company, a factory, everything. But how to manage, because people or public, it's a vague definition. You cannot, as a normal people, theoretically 1.4 billion people can own a factory, but when you have the power to control the day-to-day life and the policy and for a factory, which is not. Who is the representative of the people has the power to manage the factory? But after the 80s, it was changed. So the owner of those social materials changed to be they are allowing private companies, they are allowing foreign joint companies to participate into the economical activities in China. So if we are talking about today's China, I think it is a more capitalistic look-like society. But before that, it's totally following the Communist Manifesto, all the definitions, and all of our social structure is like derived from the Soviet Union. But now it's the reform changed the economical activities in this country. So this is what I want to say.
Sure, absolutely. All right then, time to move on, I guess. Anything that you want to pick out from the audience, guys? While I'll find the next question that we're gonna tackle.
Can you ask Bill maybe to speak a little, because I know he has a delay, and he's being a little quiet. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Bill, anything to add to this one?
Let's move on to the next point. I think I'm all right. I think let's go.
Bill is okay. He doesn't want to add anything. He doesn't want to add oil to it.
Sure.
Okay then. So, do the people in China think that China is running on a communist system, or do they think it's just whatever? They're just legging it, or do you think like Chinese people are aware that there are different systems and China is on one track and the rest of the world is on the other one?
Well, I think it depends on whom you ask. If you ask a student who haven't graduated from college yet, then for sure he believes in the system. I think every single student in China, there are certain, how to say, at one point they believe in the things that being taught by the school system. So, but if you actually experience the real life in China, you try to figure out, let's say if you are a kid from the third or fourth tier cities, and then you just move into a big city, you try to find your job, you try to deal with all those annoying things such as getting your resident car and try to find a job, and then you figure out that the rental fee in the first tier city is just ridiculously high, and your money won't be able to support you. And sometimes some of the fourth tier city students, they also have to send money back in order to support their family back in the hometown. So they kind of struggle a bit. So if you ask them, I'm pretty sure you will have a different answers. And actually, if you ask the people on the top, or people who actually know or understand what the system works, they will definitely give you an answer that you don't expect to hear, because they are the one who actually know how the logic, how this thing actually works inside. But I don't want to add too much on that. So,
Sure.
Mike, you want to take over?
Before we do that, ABC Market says Chinese overwhelmingly think their country is democratic.
Well, I
Do you
think
do you guys think that's true? Like that is that, you know, we're talking about the average person, like someone that, you know, traveled around China a little bit, you know, has some sort of an education, you know, try to watches like, you know, news every day, and you know, he or she is aware of like, you know, general things. Do you think that kind of a person thinks that the country is run based on like democracy and
no, I
democratic
don't think so.
values?
No,
No.
I don't think so. Yeah, I
No.
disagree with ABC Market. I think every single Chinese know.
Yeah, I think people really don't care. People really do not have a clear concept about it.
Correct. People don't know what's the definition of democracy. Actually, in China, democracy is written inside our constitution, but they don't know actually how democracy works. But if you actually participate in sort of this kind of like conference, a congress, or like you have vote before, you know how things actually works. That's not real democracy.
Sure. So moving on to you, Mikey, what Simon was
Just
saying.
one more thing.
Sure.
I think the vast majority know China is not a democratic country, but they are willing to give up the rights they have in order to exchange the economic prosperity, because it happens so frequently when you have an argument with an ordinary Chinese. He will say, but the Communist Party has achieved A, B, C, or like they have increased our minimum wage, or they have achieved so much, like build all those public infrastructure. They lift like 1.4 billion people out of the poverty. So they always have this kind of logic that because the Communist Party have done this and that, so far I don't think democracy will work in China. So they're kind of willing to give up this kind of democracy in order to achieve what they have. At least they were being told to believe that.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to say too that I think people in the audience, you should understand that you're looking at three Chinese people that are very intelligent, that are very aware of the outside and what's going on, and that not everyone in China is that way, right? And it's there are Chinese people in China that know very little about the outside world, and the people on this panel are very different. The Chinese people here are very aware. They are very smart and intelligent people, and have access to the outside and have been other places and things. So we're very lucky to have these people that come on here and as Chinese people to represent China and what they want to say about China and come here. So thank you guys for that. Right.
Sure.
Yeah. To add something, we do have people representatives based. So it's the election, that so-called election from the community. Then those guys elected to the district. Then those guys then elected to the city. Then to the top national
Province,
Congress.
I guess.
Yeah, province. Then the national Congress, etc. Yeah, the central government. They can bring some kind of topic or the interests from very underneath. But for my experience, maybe I stayed in China is not that long to talk to or to experience what their political advocation. I have never see one candidate talk to me about or give me some information about what they are interested in, then bring it to the upper layer of their conference, whatever it's called. So this is the reality. That That is what I can say.
Sure.
Or one time they sending leaves, or they ask you to do a signature on a paper. Maybe they tell you select these people and do a tick, and you sign your name, and that's it. There's no content in it. There's no idea, and what are those people can do for you. So
Okay, then. So I have another question for you guys, and this might get dragged out a little bit, but what do you guys think? A country should be responsible for what? Should they be responsible for healthcare, agriculture? What kind of economic aspects should they be responsible? Like, should the healthcare be owned by the government, or should they sell it out to little private companies? Is that a way to go, or do you think it should be owned by the country itself?
the ownership of a country by the country itself, it's very vague. It's not clear who owns this kind of property.
So let me make it clear for you. So, for example, in the UK, there is the NHS, which is short for National Health Services, and at the moment, it's not privatized. It's a whole thing. Do you think
all the hospitals are owned by the national government or the medical company?
Yeah.
Is
Do
that
you
what you're
think?
saying?
Yes. Do you think that is a good thing to do, or is that something that that should be like sold out to individuals and companies within the country? Obviously, like selling out your healthcare to, I don't know, South Korea, for example, is obviously a stupid thing to do. Like, why would you do that? So obviously, I don't mean that.
I think it eventually depends on the system. Like what kind of system you have. Whether, let's say, if all the hospitals, all the medical resources are owned by collectively, then it sounds a very ideal case, like it owned collectively, right? So it should be put to a good use. But like even they are owned by the vast majority, but still we will have people on the top to make the decision to allocate those resources, whether this guy is actually focusing on the general interest of the vast majority, or he actually will try to abuse his power to take advantage for himself. So eventually it all depends on what kind of system we have. Let's say if we are in a absolute transparent democratic country, we have a lot of good resource to scrutinize the people on the top there. I think yeah, for sure. I think if all those medical resources are owned by the government, I don't think that that's a bad thing. But on the other side, it can also be privatized as long as we made all the rules, right? So yeah, I mean, basically, if you ask me this question, it really depends on what kind of a system we have, and also like whether this system can actually be scrutinized by the public. If it's actually eventually it's owned by one man rule, then there's no difference. It actually can even become worse, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. To answer Zack, your question, I mean, it's actually, it doesn't matter. It's a state-owned or it's a private. Both of these kind of how to say, ownership can be wrong if some like bad people. I mean bad, which is also not the correct word, but I just say it. It's if the system has a error corrections mechanism, that if something went wrong, do the people has the power to change it, to improve the issue, this is where the system can have a self-refining mechanism to fix its own problem. And if the people who has the power can handle these issues.
Sure. All right then. So we are kind of reaching the end here with the questions and the topic, but there was a very, very interesting question by JD. What countries do you think are good examples of your idea of democracy? Any countries that you can say, like, this country is doing a great job with democracy, and countries and people should follow this example. Do you think there are any countries like that out there at the moment? And I would like Bill to answer this question first, if he can hear us.
Hey guys, I can hear you, but I just went to the restroom, so I missed the question. So can you let me know the question again?
Sure. So the question is, what countries do you think are good examples of your idea of democracy?
Democracy? Whoa, that's kind of sensitive, but I would say USA being the most powerful country in the world, but USA has its own defects. If we have to make a choice, I think Singapore is a really exemplary country, because Singapore is really small, and it's not really democratic. But at the meantime, like, their leader is selected by the people, I assume, and they do really take care of their people, the Singaporean government. And I think, like, if like the leaders, the administration of the country is really looking after its people, and they're responsible and listen to the advice from people, and they should be counted as a very exemplary and ideal democratic examples. Singapore, USA, and Japan, I think all those developed democratic countries will be counted, including UK, your land, Zach.
Sure. Simon, what do you think? Which country is a good example for democracy in general? Nothing sensitive, obviously.
No, I don't think I will provide an absolute answer to this question, but I do understand why JD asked this question. He also represents a lot of people, because, of course, democracy probably won't work 100%. 100 out of 100 times. There are a lot of bad democratic countries out there,
Your
right?
microphone is doing the robots again.
Maybe Mike can go first.
First, I don't think Singapore is a democratic country. It's a central government, and it's more or less it's the central government acting in a good way. So this is what I can say about Singapore. Actually, China is sometimes more or less want today's China going to be a country look like Singapore. They call it the Singapore mode. But to the question, what countries do you think it's a good example of democracy? First, personally, I have very bad practice on the democracy. I even don't know how to do it, to be honest. So I'm not able to give a correct answer. I mean, if you think USA is the lightning tower for democracy, I think it's okay for me, but I need more time to experience it. I have been many countries. I see like good side and bad side, and who has the echo, which is really annoying. But yeah, so
I don't hear the echo from my side.
Yeah, me neither. So it's probably you, Mikey. You echoing yourself. But yeah, to add to this one, There was another audience member who said New Zealand has a good tax contributed health system, but it's being destroyed by globalists getting into governance. Do you think that is the thing? Do you think New Zealand is a good place?
Can I say something?
Sure.
From kind of to the
Personally, I
original-
don't know about New Zealand.
From the point before, I kind of like my camera died battery, but no, I want to say that from a financial standpoint, because I'm a financial person, I work in finance and accounting and things. Social systems of healthcare, they run out of money, and they always run out of money. Okay, because the cost of many things in healthcare is not dependent on governance. It's dependent on the cost of making such things with product, right? And the cost of where it comes from and how you get it. And so a lot of, and I'm not saying capitalism, free private healthcare is perfect. It's definitely not. But all socialized healthcare systems have the same issue, and that's that they all run out of money. And that's be it Sweden or the UK or any country, they all run out of money. And you look at the advancement of medicine in the world, and how many major advancements for medicine have come out of Europe. You know, like it's nothing compared to what capitalism has done. And so I guess the question is, if you can afford the healthcare in America, then it's easily the best in the world, hands down. If you can't afford it, well, then you have to take what you can get and what's provided to you. And many times in America, that's a thing that people think, well, if you have no money, then they won't give you health care. That's not true. If your arm is falling off, they're going to take care of you. Sure, they're going to send you a bill. You're going to get that bill, and you're going to be expected to take care of it. But you're going to get some kind of health care. You're going to get taken care of. And then, sorry, what to catch up really quickly. What was the other question about democracy or what was the question?
So which country would you say is a good example for democracy in general?
One country just popped up in my mind. The country which is close to Switzerland. It's called Liechtenstein. I have been there, and it's really beautiful. And I think that's a quite nice country to stay. So maybe if you ask me the exact country, maybe I'll say that.
Sure.
Mm. Yeah, it's hard to pick one country.
Yeah, I have also been Luxembourg, but I think Liechtenstein is the best country I have ever been.
Sure. So, Corey, the question, an example for a democracy that you think is good?
I think it's definitely too hard. And I think that it's not just a China thing. We as Westerners debate this and all the time of democracy and how much capitalism do you use and how much social system do you use. So there's no real answer. I think that's above all of us. Realistically, we can give our opinions, but it's too difficult to answer. It really is. I'm happy with the system in America, but I have a job that pays for my insurance. So in that aspect of American democracy and things. But as far as democracy alone, even then, it's too complex, really.
Yeah. Just to add to your previous point about pharmaceuticals and things like that, I think you should know that some of the biggest companies are actually based in Europe, like Germany, some in Switzerland as well, and Austria as well, Hungary as well. Some of the very, very big pharmaceutical companies that are like worldwide brands, they are based in Europe, and that's where their headquarters are.
And they're all funded by the stock market.
Well, that's another issue that we can't really tackle it today. But
Right.
let's agree to disagree.
Sure.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Hey Zach, I just want to add one more thing. If you guys
Sure.
can hear me properly this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think we have one of our guests. He asked that which country we should choose, right? that we think it's a perfect democratic country. But I think we can also ask another question, that is, which country can function without any kind of democratic system? I think we should ask this question. If you
That's a
look
very
around
good,
the world,
yeah.
just take a look around the world. Which country can do, let's say, moderately fine for its people if this country doesn't have any sort of like transparency, and their government have absolute power, and they can decide whoever come to be the next chairman or president. Which country can and I think we should ask this question, because democracy won't be the like perfect medicine to cure all kind of problems, but without democracy, or without a form of system that involve the majority people to make the decision for the future for this for this place, then I think definitely this system is somewhat rigged. Even
Yeah.
they are doing it fine right now, but it's largely dependent on a single or a small group of people. And eventually, those people gonna step down. And what if the other group of people, they are not that altruistic? What will happen in the future, right? So I think we need a system that can check uh, the people with the absolute power in order to keep the balance at least.
Sure. So to answer your initial question, which country can function without democracy and democratic values and the democratic system? It's a very obvious answer for me, and some people might disagree, but because I lived in this country and I was actually born in this country, I can confidently say that Hungary is a country that can definitely function without democracy and democratic values. And the reason behind that is because back in the 80s, after the Iron Curtain fell, in 89 or something like that, before that, Hungary was actually, parts of the Soviet Union. It was a communist country back then. So the generation that is alive now, my parents' generation that are in their 50s, 60s, those people experienced, straight up real communism. And that was obviously that's not democracy, and it has no democratic values. So they've experienced it firsthand. So they know what to expect if that system comes back. And because of that, those people, my parents' like generation, they can probably lead the country if democracy disappears. So I think that is a country that can, survive without democracy and democratic values. Mikey, you traveled around Europe. You're a history guy.
It's
Do you
patriotism.
do you agree or disagree with this, that Hungary can function without democracy?
I agree actually, but you have to know, like Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary, and these Eastern European countries, or even Poland, they have relatively better social foundation, even back to the Soviet Union days, because these countries are relatively richer than the others, So, I mean, once if you are talking about Hungary, I think if you compare to the other countries in the Central Asia, those countries are really hard to be or working or behave as the relatively richer Eastern European countries, because I think these countries' social system has more or less still remaining. It's not destroyed by the Soviet Union, and you kept like part of your own, and you still have your own part of things. That's why Czech Republic or Poland and Hungary or Slovakia now can like to chase up. But for many other poor countries, it's really hard. So that's what I can say.
Sure. Bill, anything to add to this one? What do you think? Which country can function without democracy? That's the least sensitive thing that we talked about today.
I'll definitely go with those small European countries, like the country that Mike used to live in, Sweden, Switzerland, all of those small European countries. Like, I don't know about this country, but they are small, but they have incredibly social welfare program for their citizens, even better than North Korea and China, obviously. So I definitely think like those are the ideal countries for operating without democracies. That's my perspective.
Sure. Corey, what do you think? Which country can function without democracy and democratic values?
Is Hungary a part of the European Union?
Yes.
I rest my case.
Simon, what do you think? Which countries can function without democracy and democratic values?
I'm pretty pessimistic with the country who are doing fine right now without those democratic value, because like I mentioned before, people who are in power, they might have a good vision of the country, but eventually they're gonna step down and translate their power to someone else, right? But if those people they let's say became kind of greedy, or they want to start taking advantage of the system, I'm just curious whether there is a effective system to prevent those people from doing it, you know? So that's my concern. I mean, yeah, they're doing fine right now. That's perfect. But what if the people on the top, they start taking advantage of this absolute power they have? Is that country gonna survive without a transparent system or democratic system? I'm not sure. Maybe we will figure out in the future. So, yeah.
Sure. So Sky Kaz says, I have to say what Bill says is quite debatable. So obviously Bill said that, some of those countries that Mike used to live in could function without democracy and democratic values.
So I mean, we should not stick on like to do the compete and talk about it. It's really, I agree. This is debatable, very debatable. And once you fall into this kind of competition trap, it's really difficult.
Did we lose Mikey again? I guess so. So yeah, let me just. There you go.
We can talk about certain issue for a specific country, but to do the comparison, I don't want to do it too much, and I can give you some simple answer. But once you do this comparison, it's really hard to debate. So
yeah,
we stick on China. Maybe it's the main topic
Correct.
here.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Okay. Let's move on. There you go. Corruption. That is a good thing to talk about. Do you think communism has more corruption, or is it just more visible in a communist country, corruption? Do you think it's part of communism? Do you think bribing and corruption is part of communism?
If it's opaque, it's corrupted. I mean, it's quite obvious.
Okay. I mean, I'm not. It's not me asking these questions, but some people in the audience are just curious about it. So I'm not saying that the audience members are dumb or I'm dumb, but
No.
sometimes you need to answer the simple questions as well, because some people don't know it. I mean, I'm sure that there are people out there who are not familiar with the terms like communism or democracy or democratic values and communist values as well. So, for these people, it's good to sometimes break it down and, step away from the very, very big picture and just cherry pick little things and explain it in plain, simple words.
Correct.
Yeah,
So Zach,
sure.
let me just quickly explain this thing in another way. So,
Sure.
actually, corruption exists everywhere in the world, even in a very transparent, democratic system. They also exist, right? We have seen bunch of corrupted officials exposed in some of the most democratic country. But you think this way, even in a very transparent place, corruption still exists. People still gonna take advantage of the power they have and try to make money. Do you really think people in another system, which is completely intransparent, nobody can figure out what actually happened inside, and all the people, all the powerful people are connected with you? Do you think those people are gonna just be completely altruistic and stop taking advantage? Um, you know, to utilize those power to to make money? I don't think so. It's just like
It is.
if I ask.
I mean, to taking advantage is embedded in the humanity.
Correct.
Once you
People are
see a
greedy in nature.
loophole in the
Yeah.
system, yeah. Once you see a loophole, if you can take advantage on for your own benefit, people will do it. So
Yeah, it's like you put like $100,000 on the table, and you can take it or not, and nobody gonna find out. Are you gonna take it? I think 99% out of 100 people gonna take it, right?
so I think
So
Yeah, but
the
then we are talking about
failure.
being a good person in general, and
I mean,
being corrupt and being a bad person doesn't exactly equal each other. It's not exactly the same thing. I know where
you
you're
know,
going with this, Simon, and I somewhat agree with it, but just to make it clear, it's not exactly the same thing, is it?
well, I slightly disagree. Actually, I think maybe some people they can stick to their moral standard, but in certain situations, actually, if you look
You're
at
doing the robot again, Simon.
oh really? I
Yeah.
think I need to change my headphone.
I
How do I
think
sound right now?
Now you're good.
Okay,
all right.
so yeah, let me just quickly jump in and finish it. So I slightly disagree with Zach. Yeah, I think I somewhat agree that it depends on different kind of people, right? Some people they think they are more altruistic or they want to stick to their moral standard, but uh, it's really hard. And statistically speaking, more people are tend to take the advantage of a failed system. If you look back in the history, no dictator is willing to give up their power voluntarily. I don't think it ever happened once. That's because they have that power. And actually, if you think from their standpoint, they think they are perfectly fine. They are a good person. It's actually quite hard to make the definition of what good is. People have different perception of goodness. So based on their perception, they think having taking advantage of the system or getting the property they are not supposed to get, maybe they don't think that's a bad thing to do. So it's really hard to define, uh, the goodness. Or I mean, I think essentially we should have a system to prevent people from doing what is bad instead of depending on people's morality. That's just my take. So
That was the word that I was actually looking for, like, morals. And,
yeah.
morals and in my opinion, it's not exactly the same thing, but it has a lot of common things that they share. So, I agree with that part.
And also,
Mikey,
okay.
sorry. Yeah, carry on, Simon.
Oh yeah. Also, when we talk of morality, and I don't think in a intransparent system where everybody are fighting for money, for food, morality can survive in this kind of system. Usually, morality can only be accomplished in a system where people are free from fighting for food. They are generally wealthy, so I think morality can thrive. But in a rudimentary system, I think it's still very hard to achieve morality for the vast majority. If you look some of the poorest countries in Africa, I think, or either North Korea, I don't think morality will actually be a thing, because everyone is about to, starve to death. So what's the point of caring about morality when you are not, your stomach is not filled, right?
Pick me.
All right,
Yes.
Prime in
Okay.
China.
I think
Corey.
Corey, yeah.
So I want to say, corruption is universal in the world, and I think everyone realizes that. In America, we no matter who you are, whether you support, like, just say Biden or Trump, we realize that both of these people are full of shit, right? They're bringing you a plate of shit, and you're going to have to eat some of that shit. Like, let's be honest, you're going to have to pick your shit. And I think that's why it's important to have more than just one plate. And I think that's where democracy does come in, is where when you have more than one party and you can choose who you're going to believe, it's very important, okay? Because when you have just one that runs everything, you have a slight problem, right? Because, as I said, Americans, we love our shit on that plate to be served and right out in the open. We literally put them on stage and let them, like, take shots at each other, because that's just the way that it is. Where it seems like in China, it's like everyone knows that stuff happens, right? Everyone knows, but you're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to put it on stage. And to in America, you have this left and you have this right, and it's more like divided than ever right now. And people say that that's a horrible thing, that's just so horrible because the two sides are fighting. But that's not evidence that the system is not working. That's evidence that the system is working, because you have people with different ideas that are going at each other, and eventually there will be a vote and someone will win. And whoever people think is the less full amount of shit and corruption will win. That's all I wanted to say.
Sure. Let's go to Bill, because he's been very quiet for the past 5-10 minutes. So Bill, anything to add to this one?
Well, in terms of corruption, I think we definitely have this consensus that this is a universal thing. But I don't want to be sensitive. I just want to disclose one thing that's in public in China, and that is one news that just transpired in China recently. That is a government official who is taken down for his corruption recently. Like, his corruption is just tremendous. Like, I think he has like tremendous amounts of cash stored in his apartment, and he has over 100 mistresses in the same neighborhood community. And basically, like those, this is a universal thing. But when it happens in China, when it's one public in China, I'm like, what the hell? Why can this guy corrupt so much money? Like, this is incredible. And that's all I want to act like it's universal, but it's just more serious in some parts of the world and less serious in other parts of the world. But I definitely say, like, Kim Jong-un is a corrupt asshole. Like, this guy, like, his people are starving and he's trying to live such a luxurious life. So that's my point.
Yeah, I agree
Interesting
with.
point, I must say.
Yeah, I think it's different thing that different like in the communist ideology, it assumes everyone has high morally, and people are only doing good thing. And when it turns into the distribution of the fortune, the distribution of the materials, those high moral people always behave in a good way. And when you talk about demanding, so the demand is based on what you need. But as a high moral people, you will not ask a lot, which is beyond your demand. So that's the basic ideology how communism was based on. But in the reality, high moral people are always the minority. People are not doing bad thing. It's not because of they are morally high. It's because you have rules and laws to restrict and constrain their behavior. As you can see, if some like Americans or Australians, when they are in their own countries, they behave based on their own country's law. But when they come to China, like very simple thing across the intersection when the red light is turned on, because in China everyone is crossing it, so foreigners is following. So that's the basic things which communism isn't counting. So in a democratic society, maybe in the first place, you assume people has its own thing, or humanity has its own thing. And this is also maybe Christian, which is based on. So all the rules and laws is to restrict and to rule that people, to prevent people are not doing bad thing. So that's the difference. And that's what I'm going to say.
Sure. So I have a question, and this is going to be the last question before we finish tonight's show. So, Mikey, you were talking about, not asking for a lot. So basically being humble. Is that something that that they teach you, or is that something that you find out by yourself? Can humbleness be taught? That is my question. Can humbleness? Yeah, can you be humble by education, or is that something that you just get when you were born?
Yes, of course.
So which one? Are you getting taught how to be humble? Is someone teaching you how to be humble?
Yes, my parents, like my previous teachers, they are all good people, and I experienced these good people. I think I should behave in a good way.
Sure. Okay. Simon, what do you think about being humbleness in general?
Sorry, I want to say more things. So
Okay, go ahead.
If a person grew up in a very poverty environment, they are bullied all the time. When they become in power, they will bully the others, not in another way around, because they had some hard life and they experienced the hard life. They will think for the poor people. No, because the hard life teach the people it's a hard way to, it's a hard life, and they behave what they are treated. So that's simple.
Okay. Simon?
I would say through my family's education. So my
And
parenting.
you're doing the robot again. Sorry, Simon.
Okay. You guys can go ahead.
Corey?
Like morality and things like that, or being humble.
Yep, just humble in general. Like, do you think it's something that that people are teaching you, or is it something that that comes with you, like talent, basically, for something?
Being humble, like I think that maybe someone kind of talked about this. As an American, like we're very, like it or not, we do have those Christian, and I want to say, like, I'm not religious, and I don't believe in Christianity at all, but the morality of Christianity definitely has affected our country, and I think that being humble is something that we're taught, at a very young age, is that you're supposed to be humble, But I think that's true. I think it definitely can come from your parents or different people. So I don't exactly know how to answer that question.
Okay, fair enough. And Simon, how's your microphone now?
Test. You guys can hear me clearly this time?
1 2 1 2 3 testing. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Cool.
Good.
So yeah, I think being humble is taught by my parents. So I don't think in the school we have received so much education about being humble, but from my dad, he always told me that you should respect the people below you. So either they are struggling with their life or they have made some mistake, but you need to treat them fair and equally. So that's basically what what I believe and how I've been raised.
Sure. All right, then, guys. We are up
Guess what
to
I
an
like
hour.
about Simon?
Yeah, Simon is the most humble, the most handsome, and the most Casey Neistat vlogger that we know within our little community. So shout out to Simon. Anyway, guys, we're up to 135 minutes. We're up to an hour and 35 minutes, and we agreed that this stream is only going to be an hour and a half. So, for the last couple of minutes, I would like you to plug yourself, tell the audience what your next video is going to be about, if they should subscribe to you or unsubscribe to you. Corey, do you want to plug yourself first? Don't plug the thing in your nose. I don't know what you're doing, but please don't do that.
You said to plug myself.
Yeah, plug yourself.
Yeah. So Prime in China, check out my channel. Again, more controversial. If you want the less PC, the more we'll say Western argument of things, that would be me. Yeah. Prime in
Awesome.
China.
China Bill, do you want to plug yourself and tell the audience what your next video is going to be about? Why should they watch you? Did we lose Bill?
Probably gonna take for a while.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Mikey,
yeah.
do you want to plug yourself in the meantime?
Yes. Besides to have a stream and have great talks with you guys, I'm going to do a trip recently, maybe in September, that I'm going to do the trip around Shanghai. So maybe I'll go to Hangzhou, maybe I'll go to Suzhou, maybe I'll go to Yangzhou or Nanjing. So I'm going to show the good side and bad side of this Jiangnan area. So hope you guys enjoy.
Awesome. Simon, up to you next.
I'm just gonna doing some ordinary stuff, sharing my life. Currently, I live in Taiwan, so probably gonna post some vlogs and once in a while share some of my honest opinion about China. So yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. There you go. So
Bill
you
is
guys
back.
can see, yeah, Bill is back. You guys can see the links in the comment section. You can also find the links in the description under this live stream for all the channels. Bill, do you want to plug yourself as the last person? Well, one before the last, and tell the audience what your next video is going to be about. And
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I have already plugged myself, but I obviously lost connection in that. So the way that I try to present on my channel is
Oh,
Come on.
YouTube
So
hates
close.
Bill.
We almost made it.
Yeah.
present. So if you're interested about it, make sure to subscribe to me. And yeah, it's China Bill. That's who I am.
We missed the most critical part of your presentation.
Yeah. Can you say it
Have an
again, please,
opening.
Bill?
Yeah, you just had an opening and a finishing.
That's it. Yeah.
Bill, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear.
So go and plug yourself again, Bill, because yeah, we didn't hear you. Nobody heard you.
Oh, plug
Yeah.
myself again.
Yeah, we didn't hear you. Nobody heard you
Oh my God.
from the audience.
Guys,
Just
I
tell
have
the
already
most
done the
important part.
plugging for 2 times, but it's because of the internet connection that I aborted it. So now I'm going to first find the time. So me, my channel name is China Bill, and what I do on my channel is that I try to present the stuff that's ordinary and interesting in China to you guys that's from Chinese audience and foreigner audience that I think that's worth sharing, and that's who I am. I'm just an ordinary Jew, and I think like what I share is what I find the
And he's gone again.
Go back home.
Go back home, Bill. Stop chasing girls.
It's all right.
By the way,
I think I can do the how to say present or do the marketing part for Bill's channel. So if you like ordinary guys, ordinary Chinese guy sharing ordinary content or sharing their honest opinion about stuff happening in China, you should definitely subscribe China Bill. So yeah, definitely check out his channel. And Bill is an awesome dude. He lived in a third or fourth tier city, just graduated from college. So
Yeah.
check out his content if you really want to understand how China works. I'm not going to say everything he said is perfectly correct, but definitely he will give you a perspective you never seen on YouTube before. So yeah, go check him out.
I really love Bill's video because it shows the first third tier or fourth tier city look like. Because personally, I'm from like Shanghai. I lived in Shanghai as a first tier city, so I don't have too much experience living in like third or fourth tier city. So from Bill's video, you will find another part of China. So we all try to construct a whole picture for you guys.
Correct, yes.
awesome. As the last person, as the host of this show, let me plug myself. So my next video is going to be about how to become a successful China YouTuber, and it's a comedy video. I need to warn you guys, it's a comedy video. It's not serious, so please do not take it seriously once you see it. You will see it on Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. China time. It's going to be out. It's going to be about how to become a successful China YouTuber with 3 very, very professional options or ideas or tips. And I'm going to give you actual, real life examples as well. And I'm going to speak Chinese in it as well. Not so much, just a little bit, but you can hear me speak Chinese in the video. So yeah, go ahead, subscribe to me if you want to. I'll make, funky videos. That is about it. So yeah, that is it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining, coming along for the ride and, talking about this. I think it was a great talk. So yeah, thank you so much to the audience as well for joining us tonight. We had a great turnout of viewers. So we appreciate every single one of you. And yeah, hopefully we see you very, very soon. Have a good night. Have a good day. And bye-bye.
See you guys.
Yeah. See you guys.